Geniuses turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Evil geniuses turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Elder Titan.
Evil geniuses turn to pick.
And one last time during the BO1s, greetings and salutations, Dota fans. We picked you a good one. Digital Chaos taking on Evil Geniuses to close out the America Qualifiers 1 best of ones again. And both these teams stand at 4-1. Complexity stands at 5-1. That means the winner of this will find themselves in a tie with Complexity, who came out the gate like a shot and shocked the world, really, in being able to get past both of these teams to have the record they do right now. So a lot on the line, and to help me break down the action, welcome back once again, Fluff. And Fluff, man, we can see the draft's already proceeding. Talk to me about what you're seeing and how you feel.
I think Digital Chaos probably was watching that Complexity match, and they're going to go ahead with the same bands, Bounty Hunter and Ricky. And I also want to point out that during the pregame lobby, I think EG won the coin flip, and they chose to pick second pick. So that's a significant factor here. So Digital Chaos going off with the dire side. There is a dire side advantage, but one of the advantages as a drafter to picking second pick is that a lot of times you have, well, not a lot of times, but you do have the last pick of the match. And a lot of times that last pick of the match can be a hero that slips through and is uncounterable, and that's like a significant advantage. So EG giving up the Roshan for the second pick, and okay, that's how this lineup's gonna pan out. And then let's see, Darkseer, Death's Prophet banned now, no surprise. I think DP is the most banned hero statistically. That's what Nahas told me across all regions, so really not too surprised about that. Elder Titan, Terrorblade, putting these two heroes together, and I was asking AC last game, where's the Terrorblade? We see this dominating the EU scene. Here it is, Terrorblade, and this is honestly like probably one of the best matchups for him. Terrorblade versus Lifestealer.
Yep.
This is the whole reason why Terrorblade even started like popping up, in my opinion. It's because Lifestealer was so prevalent.
Right.
And Elder Titan being one of the 4 position supports is very popular. among all regions, popularized by SVG and then Crit at the Manila Major. Elder Titan shreds all of Terrorblade's armor because all of his stacking is
10
from
seconds
agility
remaining.
and all of his base armor. So you could see a Terrorblade running around with,
5
presumably
seconds remaining.
30 armor, and then the Spirit comes on you, 0. And that's a big problem for Terrorblade. So
Reserve time.
denying that from evil geniuses who most certainly understands that, and trading for Beastmaster and Lifestealer. Now, Lifestealer was probably one of the most prominent carries in this patch, but the Terrorblade kind of
Dire
dethroned
team
him, and here
battle.
we're seeing the classic matchup, and maybe we'll see why that came to be. And the Beastmaster, EG PPD has constantly said at the Manila Major that Beastmaster he thinks is a little bit too strong right now, and that's kind of a comfort pick for them as
10
well.
seconds
Universe plays this
remaining.
all the time, so they know how to play with the Zero. This is the most important
5
match that they're going to
seconds
play this
remaining.
tournament. It's going to decide who can fight for that first place spot, and they're not messing around.
Reserve time.
Well, as we wait for the second ban phase to complete itself, both of these teams, of course, looking for a way to TI6. And I know a lot of you at home are looking for a way to TI6. And Loot Market's got a way to get you to Seattle. They're doing a giveaway trip. It's a trip for 2 to TI6. That includes airfare, lodging, and tickets, etc. And again, while we wait for the final ban phase, and for me to hand it back over to Fluff for this scintillating insight and analysis, make sure you check out the link below the stream. You can, give a little click and get a chance to enter and win, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'll be there. I'll be there certainly. So if you happen to win, come say hi.
Okay.
In the meantime, though, yeah, let's talk about the bans where we stand now.
It looks like nothing happened because it's just banning phase, who cares? But a lot of things happen here. There's a Tidehunter who's very effective versus Lifestealer and Beastmaster. Anchor Smash effectively cutting down the
10
DPS
seconds
by a
remaining. significant
significant amount for the Beastmaster, the Necrobooks, the units. The
5
Lifestealer,
seconds
it's
remaining.
very hard for them to deal with that, so that's a great ban out from Evil Geniuses. Then the Venge
Reserve
ban.
time.
And I talked about this a lot on the panel during the EU section of my analysis work. And Venge is probably the best support with Terrorblade out there, and probably second to him is Shadow Demon. But I feel like Venge is on almost the god tier level because he provides so much for the team. He gives minus armor, helps Terrorblade in all ways doing damage. It helps with the escape of the swap. It's instant. It relocates him, makes him safe to Sunder, and it just overall benefits the team that has the Terrorblade like just far better than any support in the game. And it's not only that, but it's also extremely useful against the Beastmaster, and it would have been extremely useful versus the Lion because you roar, you hex, swap. That's it. It's done. And that's like probably the thing that Digital Chaos is going to look to find in a different way. Maybe a Shadow Demon. There we go. Said it again. That's the
Evil
second best one.
geniuses
You
turn
probably
to pick.
like wondering why, but it's all about the disruption. You disrupt the Terrorblade illusion. Not even the main hero. You don't have to put yourself at risk. It's like it got buffed many, many times. I think right now it's at 14 seconds at max rank, 75% illusion damage. That's insane output. It's
10
more
seconds
illusion damage than
remaining.
the Conjure Image spell itself. It's 60% at max rank. So you have
5
like
seconds
an onslaught of illusions on your towers, dealing insane damage because every item you build is agility, and
Reserve
agility
time.
works. It scales with the illusions, contrary to plus damage like Daedalus, or not Daedalus is not bad, is a bad example, but let's say that you have just flat damage like a Demon Edge or a Rapier. It will not affect the illusion. So with Disruption from the Shadow Demon, it acts as an offensive tool for sieging, acts as a defensive tool, and it's definitely a valuable replacement for the Venge, and it also helps disengage from Evil Geniuses. I think it's a perfect pick for them.
Dire team pick.
Lion, definitely solid pick for EG. I liked it a lot. Not much to say about that. It's tried and true. Crit often went for this hero when he couldn't get his classic Earth Spirit or ET. Just one of the heroes that fits that role really well. Good for picking off heroes. Blink Hex,
10
not very
seconds
fancy, but it's
remaining.
effective. And here we go, an Earthshaker. That's a PPD special, I believe.
5
PPD,
seconds remaining.
looking back to his roots, Earthshaker kind of a long lost 5 position support,
Reserve
and probably
time.
PPD is the main reason why that hero was even played at all on 5 position. But here we go, he's going with one of his favorite heroes, and I think that it can provide a lot of hybrid utility defensively and offensively. But not only that, but look at the illusion potential. I don't know if PPD will get the blink this game, but if he does, he's going to have tons of targets to get hit with the Echo Slam, the Aftershock. It's tons of lockdown for the Terrorblade. It's a good response. You're able, a lot of times you versus Terrorblade, you have the control, but you don't have the damage. Or you have the damage and you don't have the control. Earthshaker kind of facilitates both of that, and he's a 5 position support pick, so it's a very good pick for EG if they can get away with it. It's obviously going to make their safe lane a little bit weak. And for Digital Chaos, probably the way that they want to look at this is how are we going to pressure lifesteal in the off lane? What can we do? If we can't do anything, how can we transition to the jungle with Iron Talon? How can we be efficient? How can we keep up with the BM? Because one of the reasons why his BM is so good is because BM, he goes to the jungle, he's insanely efficient. I mean, it doesn't matter if he's in the lane or not. He'll just come back level 6, same level as you, and you're feeling all this pressure. Slardar. Slardar, he cannot be as efficient as Beastmaster, not even close. He can Iron Talon jungle, it's okay, but more importantly, in this physical damage meta with the Terrorblade, with the Elder Titan, think about it. There's so much damage happening. Even the Soul Catcher, there's like, if the heroes on Evil Geniuses will melt if these spells land. If, you know, even one of these spells land, Terrorblade landing a couple shots, it's amplifying his damage like exponentially. So it's like they're trading off kind of the efficiency that I was talking about, or the pressure, and they're kind of supplementing it with this Slardar, who's going to be able to pay off big time in the mid game. Not to mention they're on Dire side. Dire side, you go for the Roshan really easy with Slardar. I mean, it makes it look like a joke. It was in the patch, it was buffed up heavily for HP wise on Roshan, but Slardar minus armor physical damage like this, it just shreds through it. And Invoker, classic Wii hero, probably one of his best heroes, Weevoker. Really excited to see that as well. And then EVG gets this crucial final pick. I think we might see a PL. I think they banned it out. Yeah, they would have been crucial. EG did it to me in the open qualifier, actually eliminating me from the qualifier with my team. Not like we were going to beat them anyway, but they were second pick. They picked this PL. We had no counters, no way to deal with it. Digital Chaos, not so much. If they picked PL, there was a lot of ways to deal with it, but no point talking about it anyway. So they just need a solid laner versus Invoker. For EG to go for the second pick over Dire, the only way to justify it here is with this pick. This pick needs to be like insane for them as a Mirana. So I don't know. What do you think, AC?
Well, first of all, I think that's why casting with you is such a blast. You literally just commentated the entire draft, and I just got to sit back like a viewer and drink it in. And I had very little to contribute. Yeah, Shadow Demon's good against Lifestealer. That's about as deep as I was going to go. Mid Mirana. So we've seen EG, and this is flashing back to some of the other majors, etc. Sometimes they get a little cute with their mid picks. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. You know, the mid Mirana, like when I look at it, like you've got good stuns, you've got good setups. I mean, Earthshaker Mirana certainly works. I think what jumps out at me immediately, though, is Evil Geniuses has a team that has good initiation. You have 3 excellent initiators and then good follow-up initiation from the Mirana. But your primary damage is going to come out of your Lifestealer throughout most phases of the game, I would argue. Whereas, and you know, Lifestealer, just by the nature of the hero, is very bursty. You know, you rage, you get in, you do your damage. Digital Chaos has a lineup that I think, when I look at it, I see a lineup that is going to excel at just kiting fights out, at just, you know, buying time, being able to use Soul Catcher, being on the Lifestealer, being able to disrupt a primary target to save them. You've got a lot of AoE control coming out of the Invoker, and of course out of the Slardar, etc. And then, like you mentioned with the Elder Titan, the strength of Elder Titan just cannot ever be underestimated. I mean, the hero is just so damn good in team fights that it's hard to even imagine how you're going to cope with it if you're EG. So, before we get going, screw the predictions. It's too important a game to screw around like that. Usually we have a little fun like that, but yeah, man, like I'm you know, my primary thought process is just to follow your lead and to listen to your great insight. And I think my game is glitched. I actually can't click on heroes right now. That's really weird.
Oh no. Okay, I'll just take over the audio portion.
Yeah, like I can
press escape or
no. My voice is coming through just fine, but yeah, something is going on.
We need to restart.
Don't think I'm going to. I think we're just gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, I'm stuck on Mirana for some odd reason.
I think people will be triggered by this.
Okay, I guess I can try to fix it. However, the game's about ready to get going, and that's kind of the problem.
Okay, well, not too much going on early game. DC just posturing very aggressively. Doesn't look like EG is going to contest. EG getting the bottom rune for Sumail, top rune going for Weehaw. Nothing special, just a 1-for-1 trade. One thing to note is Universe going for the Stout Shield over the Iron Talon build. He fully anticipates that he's going to be able to contest the Shadow Demon Terrorblade lane, so he's going to be up there instead of trying to be efficient in the jungle. Very good for him. I wonder if that read will pan out. Earthshaker blocking top is going to help a lot for the initial wave, giving a lot of XP. Something about this lineup compared to the last lineup is that EG, they're very well known for their team fight combinations, execution, but this game it's all about the single target, it's all about the small minutia, the little details here, like hey, can you hex, can you stun, we're gonna throw an arrow on top, etc. like that. It's just very simple. It's not too hard to execute, and everyone understands the combos. Anyone who's watching this game.
Now we can see Misery already working his way down. I do want to try to pick a time to try to fix this because I still cannot click on anyone. It switched for a moment and it's still kind of messed up. So what I think I'm going to allow you to do, let me see if I can do this. Nope, I can't. That doesn't work either. Excellent. Okay. Hopefully those in game will be able to watch, but I do need to try to get this resolved. So
Yeah.
we'll be right back in just a moment. Stick with us, guys. We're going to try to figure out why I'm unable to view any heroes. Be right back.
And I had like a lot of close inside knowledge about what Sumail was thinking at the time during the patch, and he said that pretty much Sumail was like, hey, this is like the most OP hero right now. So he really firmly believes that even a couple weeks later or months later down the line since the patch, and I think he'll be very confident, very familiar with this hero. The thing about Mirana is that a lot of times when you lane Mirana mid, you might lose out a little bit on the
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Iron Talon, he's level 3. PPD is just picking up the slack here, might as well, I guess. And because of this, though, PPD is being efficient, he's stopping the push. This is very good for his team, very necessary. But you would kind of like to see, traditionally, like an offlaner occupying that lane and using the fissure in combination with Sumail's arrow to get the pick off on the invoker. So that's just the way it is right now. So there's not much pressure coming from that except for Sumail, but Sumail well known for being a great harasser in lane, trading efficiently with regen and all that.
All right, we're back, and unfortunately, I checked in with our production staff, great guys. This is apparently a known bug, and there's no way around it. They're investigating it now, trying to look for an answer, but this is just something we're going to have to cope with. So, Fluff, we are relying extra heavy on you to check items, because I literally cannot
Alright, I got you guys.
check any other heroes. So let's pick it back up. I didn't get to do my normal spiel where we go through. Doesn't look like we missed anything, though. No first bloods, 4 minutes in. And yeah, like I can talk about CS at the very least. They're played off to a solid start, sitting at 30 CS. The lifestealer right there behind him. So, oh wow, even that doesn't work. So anyway, I guess I can commentate this at the very least. Sumail almost got caught out after the disruption. Cold Snap is there, but able to leap himself to safety. Up at top, we can already see the Resolution putting some heavy pressure on this top tier 1, already down below half health.
Yeah, and like I mentioned from last game, Complexity... Okay, well, Complexity did the same exact thing. Once Universe left the lane, they started pressing the tower. This is what you want to do. You don't want to just sit back, constantly static this lane. It's important to put pressure in some way on the enemy support. Like you saw that, you know, Universe is not necessarily rotating to this lane, but you saw PPD occupying this lane. And like I said, there were some disadvantages. I think the stream wasn't caught up yet, so what I was saying is that I know there's a mid going on, but we're paused, so I'll just explain a little bit more. Because EG had to send PPD top, it was a very necessary move. They couldn't use the fissure offensively to combo up with the Mirana, which they probably originally intended to do so. And because of that, all the pressures can come from Sumail. And it looks like another gank attempt on Sumail in the mid lane. They tried to do the disruption into not this turn, but before they tried to do this combo with the mana burn, the cold snap, but it didn't quite time out. This time they got the echo stomp off, so it might be a little bit easier. The poison breaking the sleep, and they have a bit of follow-up here. It's not enough. Is the poison going to tick? No,
Now
Sumail's
Soxa
good.
taking a lot of damage from the tower. Can PPD chase him down? Good disruption from Misery. Able to keep his boy alive, and yep, no mana for a fissure. So everyone makes it away unscathed. Well, Misery's going to take a arrow up the tailpipe, but no follow-up there. So a lot of action, a lot of focus here on mid lane fluff, but so far neither team really able to eke out an edge.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how Moo's doing because, like I said, the Beastmaster is going to be able to out-efficiency him in a lot of ways. But Moo, level 4, let's see, Beastmaster level 4, they're actually completely on par. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that BM started top initially, and he did get a lot of EXP there, but he transitioned slowly to the jungle, and there's a bit of travel time there. I think Moo, he got roughly the same, and usually, you know, Beastmaster's way ahead, but looks pretty good for Moo here. He's a long way from Blink though, and Slardar doesn't have really flashy mechanics to get to that Blink. He just has to do it the old-fashioned way, take one last hit at a time, maybe get a pick here or there, and just try not to die. That's your #1 prerogative.
Two-man smoke from EG. They move Zion, PPD out, Soxa right below them. There's going to be a disruption. This is great timing.
Nice
They
Hex.
come in from behind. Hex is there. Fisher catches 2, cuts off Weave from retreat along with Soxa, but the tornado does manage to hit Zion. Sumail, let's see if they have any damage to follow it. One more auto attack will do it. Not going to be there though, and here comes Moo. In the meantime, Misery draws first blood, and DC happy to retreat with that. Close, but no cigar for EG once again, and ends up being 1-for-1. Sumail traded away for the Elder Titans. So I'll tell you, man, both of these teams appreciating the moment and certainly not giving up any more than they have to. Another good trade.
Yeah, Zai perfectly reading the situation. It's basic, but it's very crucial that he cancels the Echo Stomp. It's a very, it's just a combination that we've seen Secret do with Puppy is run the Shadow Demon with Elder Titan combination, and they've used it to such great success. But versus Mirana, you have to get these things perfectly timed, and maybe in that way, the bottom pick is really paying off here for Sumail, and that it's just a little bit more elusive than the other heroes that could possibly be picked. And maybe DC would have pulled a lot more advantage from this lane if they got these successful ganks on another hero.
Yeah, DC trying to gank through the Radiant jungle. Peter spotted them, so they will go ahead and retreat. In the meantime, Fear being left largely to his own devices. Hey, it actually changed heroes once for me. He's picked up a Blightstone and his helm. I keep doing it. It's such a habit, man. It's impossible to stop trying.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Yeah, it is actually the most awful thing ever to happen to me as a caster. Like I feel like I have zero context as to what's actually going on in this game right now.
Well, Zai top lane, he's getting solo XP. He's closing on level 6. That's huge. They're gonna look to use that finger once it's up. PPD actually quite high level for his normal standards, usually like level 1 or 2 or something like that at this point. But he got the offlane XP. He's happy with that. He's probably not going to get much more. 200 gold, TP, no wards or anything on him, but he's definitely like purchasing them. So he's going to be poor for a while. And like I said, in the draft, if he can get to that Blink Dagger at some point, there's so many targets to hit with the illusions, and it's going to be quite necessary for them to pick that up. So they're going to need to find time for PPD. But right now, it's not so crucial that he actually picks up the item. It's something they can pick up around the 30-minute mark and feel comfortable with. Something PPD is able to achieve for sure.
Universe picked up an invis. Thought he might try to do something cute in mid. Instead, he's going to make his way up to top. We can see Soxa farming happily under his tower. TP up from Zai. Let's see if they want to try to make a run here. Have no idea how long the illusion rune has left. Would love to know, but it's not very long. Echo Stomp, Universe right there, has Roar, I think, at the ready. I can't even tell what level he is. He does. Excellent. So, follow up from Zion. That's a very good pick for them.
Yeah, very good indeed. And as item update for Terrorblade, he's about 500 away from his Dragonlance. It's a huge pickup. Boo actually farmed a lot in the past couple of minutes. Like, since I saw him, he just had Iron Talon Tranquil, but now he has 1,000 gold on top. So he's only about 1,100 away from his Blink Dagger. That's very big. If he can get that around or before the 15-minute mark, he's going to be quite effective in the early game. He's going to be covered pretty much. That's exactly the item he needs, and probably likely to see a 4-staff or BKB coming after that.
Both teams settling back, at least for the moment. Taking a look at overall efficiency. Low kill score, but 1,000 gold is favoring DC despite them trailing in a kill. So early laning phase. They got to feel pretty happy about that. What do you think now as we get close to 10 minutes, Fluff, is going to be key for EG in particular? I mean, DC has to feel pretty happy. They're the one with the Terror Blade. They're going to be quite content for the most part to sit and farm and just get core items and certainly farm up the Terror Blade to beast mode. If you're EG, give me a 3-step plan on how you're going to stop that.
Okay, number one, you want your Beastmaster to keep his efficiency, get towards that Necrobook 3. That's pretty much when he's going to hit his optimal power spike. And Lifestealer, you want him to get to the Armlet, perhaps take that tower bottom and go for an Infest gank afterwards, and then you want Sumail to work towards his Ags, and then just continue farming.
And roared, overlapped a bit more than I think they would have liked. That doesn't matter, they got the finger. As Zai pops him and brings it down, huge kill there. In the meantime, there's a dive at bottom. Great fissure from PPD, blocks Moo in, gets off the crush, but it's not going to matter. Help's coming a little too late. There is a disruption though, and now Misery getting in the mix. Thought for sure Moo was going to die. Now PPD has to get out and he can.
Infested Fear inside as well.
Saksa lays the stomp down, and between the both of them, Misery and Moo maybe have a third of a health bar. Unbelievable reaction from DC to tally 2, and not just 2, a very important 2. Peter, not so much, but bringing down Fear, just absolutely gigantic, and it all comes down to the play of the Shadow Demon, the hero that you highlighted during the draft, Fluff. What he brings to this team, being able to disengage EG off of a target, coming up big there.
Yeah, it just doesn't make it simple to kill Terrorblade as if it was already.
Yeah.
You have so many hoops to jump through, and it's like, because of this, DC Resolution, he just feels very confident. It's all about the team. You know, when you play your pubs, you play Terrorblade, yeah, you get picked off, but when you're playing a professional team at the highest level, you're ready to counter-initiate and help yourself out, help your teammates out. And I think EG must be feeling the pressure. Honestly, I would, because Terrorblade, like I said, he's a significant advantage over the Lifestealer. Is probably one of the reasons why we see Terrorblade now is because of the Lifestealer, and we know that the success in the other regions has gone to bannable levels, and that's across all the teams, including Team Secret, who barely scraped by when they played versus Empire. So, you know, in this case, I think that there isn't such a clear answer for EG in terms of matching up versus Terrorblade, besides pressuring the map, taking control. It's not so difficult for them. They have 3 of the top 5 net worth. They got to keep this up. They got to accelerate and push past. But they also need to be a lot, very worried about when is DC going to go for his Roshan. That's another advantage of the Dire side. And I said in the beginning, they chose second pick. They could have chose the Dire side, but in doing this, they've traded it essentially for a Mirana.
Looks like they're going to abandon this. Mirana, by the way, does manage to get a kill on Invoker here in mid. Misery could be in trouble, gets off the disruption. Here comes Resolution, though, and Sumail in a lot of trouble as he's caught from behind. That's going to be a 1 for 2 thus far. Let's see if they can pursue it out. Universe doesn't have Roar. He's going to be caught. No stun, though. He makes it out safely. And that's going to be his Necro book off of that as well. So, in the meantime, DC able to get the deny on their tower at bottom, moving engaged by Fear. Trying to sprint away. Great fissure again from PPD, and the follow-up from Zai. That secures yet another kill. So Zai actually ends up trying to right-click some Resolution, who's already beginning to hit very hard. 192 plus 10 or more coming out from him. Actually did get the switch there again, thankfully. And we can see this cute creep infested by Fear, trying to do some cute stuff over by the Ancients.
Zai had 1,000 gold there, and it went straight down to 800 once Resolution got that kill. That's a really big deal in terms of the timing of your Blink Dagger. That could be the 1 or 2 minutes that's very crucial for you.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Bottom tower goes down to DC's, very healthy time. Terrorblades tend to take another tower with the Dragon Lance. It's just very good for DC, part of their plan. Like I said, the Mirana has to step up. She definitely did in a lot of ways. Like, she evaded many ganks. She got some crucial picks, but she has to keep it up. The pressure's on Sumail. Can the Golden Boy keep it up? Can he return to form? A lot of times people would say like Sumail's probably one of the weakest links on EG in recent memory, but he has to step it up. I think once they reshuffle their team again, he's kind of getting the focus and attention that he needs and deserves, and I think he'll be able to perform. But it's all coming down to nerves here, mentality. Do you think that, you know, his Mirana can overcome the odds here? It's up to him.
The Mirana pick, as you pointed out, I mean, it's risky, it's situational, and at times it can be brilliant. The question is, will Sumail be able to make this one of those times? Echo Stomp catches Peter over on the steps. Earth Splitter thrown uphill, anticipating a reaction, try to help him. And they should, no, actually, a Fissure's going to catch 3. There was no follow-up tornado dodge, the EMP just behind him.
And that's why, even though you're piss poor, you have boots, you buy Raindrop when you're support, because
Yep.
he just reduced so much damage from that incoming gank, and a lot of times it's just so mischievous. You just don't anticipate someone that squishy to live that long, and it bails them out.
Oh, Peter hiding out in the woods. Down at bottom, EG. We'll go ahead and take the tier 1 bottom. God, you have to give an item update. This is killing me. I can't check any. For those just joining, by the way, 2 updates, I suppose.
Alright, item updates. Beastmaster is well on the way to book 2. Should be purchasing real soon. Armlet on the lifestealer. He's got 2,000 gold in the back. I imagine a Desolator. Sumail's got a point booster. He's got a Staff of Wizardry and Bank and 700 gold, so he's about 1,300 from his Aghanim Scepter. DC Resolution. He's got a Yasha, 1,600 gold, and a Dragon Lance. Well on the way to Manta. We have DC Weehaw with the Midas, 300 gold, and I think he must have something else on the chicken. I don't see it. He just has a Midas. Sardar has a Blink Dagger. Critical time, I said 15 minutes. Pretty much 15 minutes here. It's exactly what he needs to do. Mood playing great. And Soxa just a normal fair Tranquil Soul Ring.
And here we go. Looks like we could have a fight. There's a Roar into Misery, very low. He's going to survive for the moment. Will he survive for the long? No. Right click from Sumail brings him down. Now Resolution. There to try to finish this up. Buyback from the Shadow Demon. He wants to get back into the fight. Here goes Fear.
Oh my god, the damage.
The damage is
It's
real.
insane. Like I said, I just don't know what they're gonna do about this. They saw in the first 2, but just like a lot of European teams, they saw in the first 2, and where was their answer? They're not as experienced as the teams, and they're not as prepared as well. I don't know if they caught on to this trend, but I imagine as a player, it's very hard to focus on other things besides what's ahead of you. And in any scene, definitely TB is not a stable pick, if even the meta pick at all.
Well, here we go. DC on the run.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
And let's see if they can push down the tier 2.
Surely with ease. Let's see if they get the disruption up here. And I like Misery's choice to go for the disruption after the Shadow Poison. Definitely ranking that up with the Terrorblade makes a ton of sense over the Soul Catcher. So great decision by Misery.
Well, they are able to keep the tower standing, at least momentarily. Can't tell you how much HP it has. But yeah, the 2 updates I was going to give for those who are tuning in and looking for context. I'm unable to select heroes and check their inventory. And the loser of this is relegated to tiebreakers. So a very, very big match.
Huge match. Whoever wins this plays up against Complexity for the slot at TI. The direct invite through the round robin stage. And we see Lifestealer picking up the whatchamacallit? The Echo Saber. Sorry, I knew that. Okay. Anyway, PPD 850 gold. I'm sure he might attempt the Blink Dagger Rush or an Arcane Boots. Either are both viable. And Zai 1600 gold on his way to a Blink, but you know, for a 4-position support line, you know, you're used to your MMY seeing it like even as early as 10 minutes sometimes. It's just insane. Zai has to pick up a lot of the pace here, and some of his recent deaths has not been helping. DC, this is the inevitable threat of Roshan. EG has to put up a fight against this or give it up. It's just so easy for DC to take this, or they're just posturing a fake approach. A lot of times secret. You've seen them, even though they have Roshan clearly, and you know, both teams understand that it's just so easy for them to take. They posture around it in a way that's tricky for the enemy team, and they try to sometimes abuse the ability for them to hold position or move, invade the enemy, anticipating them rotating towards Roshan. This time DC, EG didn't take the bite, DC didn't go for it, so kind of a null thing here, but it's always a factor, and EG has to be thinking about this.
We can see Sumail could be in some trouble. Slardar, and with the crush, got a little bit late. The Echo Stomp's off the mark as well. Sumail trying to do what he can. Misery barely dodges an arrow. Tough to dodge. Getting smacked over the head.
Sumail bought his Aghanims long before he died, so he didn't lose any gold there. A little bit fortunate thing for them. Universe opting to skip the book rush and going for the Blink Dagger. He's like, okay, Zai's not getting his Blink. I need to be the one to force the issue here, because we are not able to just do our thing. Or not. This is not a Beastmaster camping top for the last 19 minutes, pressuring towers. The tier 1's still up. He needs to make things happen. Maybe EG's prompting that. Maybe PPD is saying to the team that this needs to happen, or maybe they'll just understand. They have to find a way to open up the map, make sure this TB doesn't get out of control. But he's already looking like a monster already, and I don't see a way for EG without incredible, immaculate plays and even a little bit of luck here, taking down DC in the fights.
As it stands, it's 8-8. Very tight game. Less than 500 gold separating these two teams, but momentum certainly in favor of DC right now. The Terrorblade off to an amazing start, and we're seeing this lineup of EG. I mean, it just
Smoked.
we're not feeling a lot of synergy. Here we go. They're going to go in, roar,
Perfect
and
target.
Misery, great catch. Now if they can get resolution. They do. Side throws it from the bottom. And they do get a courier as well with 2,100 gold on it. Didn't see what exactly it was. But nonetheless, EG getting the counter punch they needed desperately. Fear chasing Saksa all the way back
Radiant's top
to the
tower
fountain
is
or
under
to the
attack.
tier 3s. And that's going to go a long way to getting them back into this game.
This is the kind of caliber you expect from a team EG compared to any other teams out there. They make these calls. They're quick. They're they're going for the aggression. They understand the situation at hand. They pick the perfect target. Who better to kill than the Shadow Demon, who's going to bail out anyone on your team? And then Zai following up with the finger on the Terrorblade before he can even think about sundering. That was a perfect play. These teams, like EG, didn't even have vision. I think they had the initial jump and possibly Hawk or any summons like that. But when you're up, these players are that good. They understand the situations. They can read what happens even without the vision. It was just, I think it was a immaculate play from EG. That's what they need to do. They need to continue to do this, and they're showing signs of life. They're showing that they can overcome the obstacles. They're showing that they have a plan, and this is probably something that's a little bit different than some of the teams that I've watched today. It seems like there's some deliberacy, or I don't know if that's the word, but they're very deliberate with their approach. They understand what their conditions are for this fight.
Now, both teams taking a bit of a breather, just falling back to their respective sides of the map and getting some farm in. Terrorblade continues to build on his overall net worth lead. But, EG, again, landing that good counterpunch there, Fluff. DC does still, at least to me, feel to have quite a bit of momentum. Which team, now that we're into the solid meaty part of the mid-game, do you think is feeling the pressure right now so far as having to make something happen on the map?
Well, I have to say that the Weehaw Invoker has been less than, I don't know, it's pretty unimpressive so far. He's going the Wex Quas, but hasn't really contributed much to the fights besides a couple disengages and a nice EMP up at the top lane. But so far, as far what we expect from a Weehaw Invoker, he's not really able to do that. And partially, this isn't due to the way that the build works. It's not, the scalability is not as good. That's why I go for the Midas. The potential of it falls off a bit more, but what he's gonna look to do in these fights is just gonna lacquer the Terrorblade. It's all in the Terrorblade. They're boosting his damage in a lot of different ways. They're gonna just control and keep him alive. That's their plan. But for EG, look at PPD. He has 1,600, 1,700 gold. He's close to his blink if he can farm it. And yeah, there is. He made the gut call. I'm gonna go skip the Arcane Boots. I'm gonna go for this one big item that can change the game. And that's exactly the kind of risk that you need to take.
The Universe has a passenger. EG anticipating a fight. There's the ulti. And they're going to move around the bend. Let's see if they can find someone. They absolutely can. There you go. Head towards the Roche pit. Resolution in a lot of trouble. In the meantime, Saksa dropped down on the high ground. Misery gets off a disruption. Echo slams on point, but not a lot of damage. Resolution, though, falls to the rest of the right click. Coming out of Fear and Sumail. They're going to get Wii as well. And that's going to be a double kill for Sumail. A 3 for nil. All 5 still standing for EG. And likely to be an Aegis in their back pocket as well. And this game has turned on its head. DC seem to be in the driver's seat. Now they're passed out drunk in the back seat.
EG is pulling ahead with their calculated aggression, smart plays. You can definitely tell that PPD is on his game right now. They do not want to lose. This is what they came for. They came for TI. They're the returning champions.
Right.
They cannot lose to these kind of teams. I mean, DC, granted, very good, but we all expected EG to be far above the rest of the pack. And they're definitely showing that in their decision making. And a lot of time, skill. DC, all of their players are high MMR, just the same as EG. They match up head to head. They can all play the same things, more or less. It's all about the smart, calculated decisions of that captain. And maybe Misery losing a bit of composure here. Maybe Weehaw not feeling so comfortable on the Wex Quas Invoker compared to the Forge Spirits Invoker. They're losing a lot of map dominance because, Forge Spirits are constantly shoving out waves, but with Wex Quas, your shoving is very, very limited. You can blow like Tornado to clear waves, but it's not that efficient compared to Forge Spirits. And a lot of times, EG, they can just dominate the map because they're pushing in the waves, they're getting the farm, they're not being forced to show, and they can rotate how they please, and they've been making the right calls all along.
EG getting very aggressive. They smoked 3. We actually see the Lion with Fear on board. They're going to spot Resolution. Here we go. Got the Hex off instead, engaging on the Misery. Jin's on the ground. They pick it up, and now they want to hightail it. PPD's there to bail him out if needs be, with Sumail right beside him. Excellent move, and that was actually a very brilliant way to do that. I'll draw it out on the map. They sent Zai up this way with Fear, then they split the other 2 that were smoked off here, knowing they wanted to catch someone right here, and then they could retreat to right here. And it worked out perfectly. It was actually just a very, very well-synchronized maneuver. And EG now knocking on the door, banging on this tier 2 here in mid, and really taking control of this game. I mean, it's one thing to say biggest lead of the game. It's not just the biggest, it is hands down the biggest, 3 to 4 times larger than any lead any other team has held in this game so far. So EG, very happy the way this mid game is working out.
EG, we didn't catch it at first, but perhaps the master plan all along. PPD ready for this. He says, hey, I see your Terrorblade, I raise you 1,000,000 disables.
Yeah.
And that's what these supports are providing. Disabling a TP, not letting him cast the Sunder is very crucial. But not only that, these supports are not just disable monsters. They're actually doing quite efficient DPS, quite high burst, and that's exactly what you need to deal with the Terrorblade. That being said, I still feel that Weehaw is a little bit uncomfortable here. 0-5 and 2, 100 CS. This is not typical for this star player on DC, and you would definitely expect a lot more from him. But again, it's in lot due part to the build, and it's not like, you know, perhaps they discussed this and they said this is the way that we want the Invoker run. You know, it's a strategic experience. It's not just one person making a mistake. A lot of times people like depending on one guy or 2 guys, but it's a team-wide decision. They're having a discussion. They all understand the importance of this match. They're giving it their best effort all throughout. You cannot like look at these type of things and be so critical of players.
Here we go. Zai locked and loaded one more time. Weehaw could be the target. He's actually TPing away, so it won't be him they'll find. Misery's in range. He's pulling back, as is the rest of DC. And I'm loving this pick and push style they're running. Very, very aggressive and hitting in different spots too. Instead of just the standard, let's smoke into their jungle. I mean, yeah, right now they're moving into the jungle, but for the most part, they've actually been hitting at very odd angles and odd timings. Speaking of smoke, DC, big smoke as they feel this game beginning to slide out of their grip and wanting to do anything they can to grab hold once again.
I think it's already out of their grip. They're grasping for straws right now.
Universe, crutch, but now here's going to be the follow. A little bit of lag, a little bit of lag, a little bit of lag.
Oh, wait.
There we go. Something happened. Now they're going to follow it up. DC looks like they did manage to make it back. EMP was thrown. There was an arrow that hit something. Guess it was an illusion. And Zai still has Fear on board.
I gotta say, I'm loving this Mirana pick actually. It's a combination of damage. It's high burst and very difficult for the Terrorblade to get a hold of. Also, it worked immaculately in the lane. We saw how he evaded so many ganks. And Sumail is very comfortable, obviously. I just feel like PPD put together a lineup that, alone, probably can contest the Terrorblade, but in combination, this is what PPD is all about, the synergy. He talked about it a lot in his blogs. It's all about the synergy. He created a lineup that could take on DC, and that's why he's the champion. There's no reason to doubt PPD at all.
Well, PPD and company take another tier 2. Only one remains, that's bottom. Here in mid, Misery and Moo trying to push out lanes while they have the opportunity. Down at bottom, we see Wee and the Terrorblade pushing out bottom. Zai's there though. And Resolution not going to get spotted in time.
We're on to Moo top.
Yep, Moo caught from behind. Gets
Oh,
the
the
crush
enchant
off.
totem doesn't go off. Just barely out of reach, and Moo gets the crush off.
Yep, he will be able to make it away. Looks like PPD not super keen on following him too deep in. They will be able to take a stack of Ancients though at the very least. So Arc Boot's now done on that Earthshaker as well.
He's done. He's set. And we said 30 minutes, and he's got to wait before that PPD.
Yep.
You know he wants this. This not many players can run this support Earthshaker the way that PPD does with the same effectiveness. He runs it just like those old Chinese teams of E-homes. You see so many players criticizing, oh, his brown boot's so poor, he's 6th position for support. But guess what? He knows what he needs to do, and he's effective, and his team allows him to do it as well.
Yep. A lot of attention being given to the Ancients and Roche Pit area on the dire side now. Soxa did show his face. We'll be able to make it away before Peter can catch him.
Okay, so what does DC need to do? Well, if you asked me that a couple minutes ago, I would have said they should Roshan, they should force the fight out there when they're stronger. Burst it down is just way too quick, and play into the Wex Quas Invoker, which is like the main strength. You want to be having all these skirmishes in the early game because that's really when he shines. He falls up so hard, and I would have also said perhaps think about transitioning back into the X-Sort. Like, it's not unheard of. If you go the distance, you can do it. You can make that transition, but fully committing with the Hurricane Pike on Invoker is a very interesting choice. I mean, he's going to be able to disengage, but his right click's not commendable, and it seems more like a defensive, I don't know, kind of choice, kind of panicky compared to like the stable, solid meta builds that we've seen. And I don't know, it feels like DC's kind of lost. They feel like they can't move out on the map, they can't farm, and they really can. It's only Terrorblade can do it. And it's like, look at Sarda, he's the offlane hero. He's 2,000 networks away from the Invoker. It's just impossible for Invoker to push out. He's trying his best. Look at him top. He's shoving out like wave after wave, his little right clicks, and it's like, it's so sad to see because he just knows that he's capable of so much more in other circumstances, and just, I don't know. But right now, I think with all that said and done, with the Roshan being gone, with the items being taken, the item routes they've taken, they kind of have to all in on this Terrorblade, and in a sense, choosing a Quaswex Exort, the way they built their lineup, it is all on Terrorblade. And the thing is, a lot of times you see Terrorblade with maybe one death, if any, probably 0 at this point, but they've killed him twice. They've shown that they can kill him, and that's a little scary. So he picks up the BKB, 10 seconds. He really has to make use of that. But another thing, Terrorblade, he wants to play around the fact that the enemy has to fight into your disables and your control, and he can just sit there and right click, and if DC like somehow runs out of control, then Terrorblade's gonna just be walking around and getting kited by all these like speedy heroes with blinks, mobility. You know, EG can run circles around Terrorblade if they get the right initiations, and I think PPD was somebody who pointed this out. When you pick Lifestealer, even the counters to Lifestealer are countered by Lifestealer in a way, because you can synergize up the Lifestealer with any number of heroes that initiate with Blink, and you can pretty much jump and get the full effectiveness out of the hero regardless if he's countered or not, because how can you stop a hero that's invulnerable until he pops out? And he does tons of damage regardless. He's farming really well. Looks like Fear is going for a Maelstrom, probably into Mjolnir here. This is a really smart way of dealing with the illusions. He picks up the Kyros. It's a really smart way of dealing with the ET Aura, albeit it's only 6 armor, but in total you have to deal with the Sardar, you have to deal with the ET, and you have to deal with the insane right clicks of the Terrorblade. And maybe like this game, if you're your first time watching Terrorblade versus Lifestealer, you're probably asking like, hey, why does Terrorblade do well versus Lifestealer? Like, it doesn't look that good. It's not doing anything here. Well, a lot of times when you pick up a Scotty versus a melee hero, you just significantly lower their mobility and DPS. And Terrorblade's a natural Scotty builder. He's also high base armor. Look at his armor, 25 armor at this stage of the game. He's gonna have way more than that eventually. And it's like, Lifestealer, he wants to chip away at you with these physical right clicks. TB is ready for that, he's prepared, and then he just sunders it on you. Like, even if you bash him, you have to really exert a lot of control and a lot of damage, and Terrorblade pretty much turns everything.
Big fight, Roar on the wing. Moo engages the finger to drop him down. Moo gets off the crush, doesn't get, he actually did catch Universe with that. Zai's gonna have, yep, his blink, Force Staff is there. Does he have the mana? He does, barely missed him. Barely missed his tail fins. Soxa not so lucky, caught from behind. Great synergy between the Earthshaker and the Mirana as they chase him down from behind. That's going to be 40 seconds down for both of them. And there is one buyback. The Invoker has one as well. We'll see if he wants to expend it.
EG pushing forward, sensing that they have the edge here. Invoker down. He does have buyout. Yep, he does have buyout. If DC truly feels that the racks are threatened, he will buy out. But I think they can stall for the 15 seconds remaining, so EG will just back out. And let's try to think like, okay, I'm a player, I'm in DC, there's a couple of lines of thoughts here. You could say, okay, maybe in an alternate reality, like, yeah, we lost EG, we expected this, you know, they were gonna win. We're the second best, let's go win this, let's beat Complexity as we've traditionally always done. You know, they've beat him in a number of matches, but guess what? DC is like feeling a bit shaky versus Complexity because Complexity all of a sudden stepping up. So now you're wondering like, okay, am I going to get the wild card or am I going to get the invite? And obviously you want the invite. And going for the wild card is really heartbreaking for a team like DC, who's constantly felt like they're at the top of the NA scene.
This is their moment, my friend, and they know it. They're going to 5-man smoke and run right into a PPD wall. Hold up, hold up, hold up. There you go. Now let's see if they can find someone. Zai, oh, he missed the crush. Zai able to force that himself to safety. Now turns it around. Here comes Universe. Universe looking for a roar. Arrow's going to be off the mark. No, Resolution turned around and ran into it. Now they're going to follow it up.
Oh my
what a
God.
horrendous mistake. He was walking clearly away from it, turned around and walked directly into it. That's 3 down, a double kill for Sumail. And EG has what little bit of this game remained hanging by a thread for DC has been blown absolutely wide open. 2 huge moments there. Slarder missing the crush on Zai, who was just waddling through the water. Just a flat-out mechanical mistake. And then, you know, just one of those things, your tunnel vision, you know what's going on, you make the decision to turn around, take 1 step, and you catch an arrow at almost max distance in the face, and it just ruins this phase of the game.
Yes, but and it does look bad on the camera, but they're 15,000 gold behind. They know they have to force the issue. A lot of times, like, even the best players can make mistakes because once they're forced in a situation of desperation, and trust me, they're desperate, they're gonna go for anything that they can grab. And you know, sometimes it doesn't pan out for you, and it's just punished way harder than you'd like. But if you don't make those moves, you're just waiting for the other team to end the game. And when you're a competitor, you just have to put up the best fight you can.
EG sticking their nose into the Roche pit. Everyone's back up from DC, so it looks like they're going to rethink that decision. You want to give us an item check here? Since I have no idea who has what. And by the way, just to remind the audience who just tuned in.
Well, you see the Dagon on the Marana.
Yeah, your standard Dagon Marana.
Saving for the buyback, not spending the last 1900 gold. Never mind, he's saying, I'm going all in, guys, I'm getting the Dagon. Probably gave it a moment of thought, but he's like, never mind, man. I'm just going for the W.
You realize if something happens, they lose, this is a Jimmy Ho moment, right? Like,
yeah, it potentially could be, but I think it would be like, EG, the rest of the team could probably pick up the slack. Lincoln's Spear on Sumail as well, and Shiva's guard. It's just a huge combination. Shiva is definitely very good for Stair Blade, clearing out the illusions as well as allowing this fast creep clear and, you know, more damage overall. Lifestealer finished up the Mjolnir like we said. No new items, just Kyros, Echo Saber, Armlet, Book, Blads, Blink, Perseverance on the Universe, going for the pressure. Zai with Blink, Force Staff, and Ghost Scepter. EGPPD with the Blink as normal. Force Staff on Misery. Sox has a Force Staff. Nothing too different. DC Resolution. Picked up the Sky, that's his newest item. Weehaw, same items. Force Staff on Moon. 1 Ogre Club working his way towards the BKB.
sounds good. And I'm not incapable. Viewers at home, I literally do not possess the ability to check heroes. Like, I can't, no matter how hard I try. Anyway, Roshan down to half health, and don't have to check his inventory to know there's an Aegis in there, and EG wants it. They're going to take this and try to close this one out. Once again, a huge game for these teams. TI6 looming on the horizon here in the dog days of summer. And everyone trying to find a ticket to Seattle.
Yep, 2 things. I know the game's not over, but it's looking pretty rough here. EG just lost the complexity, but I imagine going to TI would require a bit more than, like, you know, just losing 1 game. I think they're going to be able to bounce back. DC, they need to be thinking positively. I cannot stress that this game cannot affect them. I know that some of the players on the team might be a little bit emotional, but I feel like in moments like these, in these clutch situations, you have to believe in yourself and all the hard work that you put in, and you have to think positively. Otherwise, you know, the mental game is a lot about just looking for the bright side no matter what, and looking for that little bit of hope.
So now with the Aegis in tow, we'll eat the crush. Lincoln's will be popped. Out comes Sphere. And maybe a little premature on that. A premature reverse infestation.
Sunstrike. It's not nearly going to do enough damage. Only 2 points in X Sword, so he's trying to kind of living out his days. He did hit somebody, but
out his days.
I mean, he's like, I wish I was X Sword right now. I'm pretty sure that's what I would think, because I've been in this situation a couple times as well, where you have good intentions with the quads. Looks like, oh man, this would be really good right here. But you play a game out long enough and you realize it's always going to the late game if teams are good, unless you're going to crush them completely.
EG has got the entire map on lockdown. A do not pass zone stretching just outside of the range of the tier 3s in a complete semicircle. Sumail still holding on to his Aegis. He just got right in, jumped over Moo, and now Fear putting him on the run. Crush does nothing, and Sumail even manages to hang on to his Aegis. Fear not quite so fortunate as he's just getting pounded away by Resolution.
Oh.
Not the best moment I've ever seen in history for a pause.
Okay.
Misery says there's a bug. And I know the feeling, bro. I know the feeling. Nope.
I've seen games like this where like the team pauses because it's actually needed, and then they look at the situation and like GG. But I don't think DC will do it. Sumail still has the Aegis. He connected with the arrow onto Shadow Demon, so no defensive disruptions here. I don't imagine we all can do anything besides Cold Snap. Actually, Cold Snap can take out the Aegis here, so that's probably his next play. They're definitely going to be trying to work out their plans here the next fight. PP is gonna probably back off. His blink's down for 9, so but he can't withstand the Terrorblade's damage. Fear probably gonna disengage as well. Not really much sense walking into a Terrorblade if you don't have to. Universe brushing the top. DC is aware of this, so EG knows that if they back off real quick, EG Universe is gonna have to be addressed, and that's when they can make their move on bottom lane.
There we go. One up.
Dire's top tower is
One drops. There's 2 down. They did lose Sumail. He's gonna be coming back up. 3 down from DC. He comes right back up. Uses the Shivas and chases him all the way back to the fountain. Buys level 4 and 5 of the Dagon. In the meantime, top, the racks are a shambles, and good game well played. So with that, Evil Geniuses manages to bounce back from a loss to complexity in their previous game. And not just a loss, Fluff and I were casting that. It was not even remotely close. It was an absolute stomp by complexity, and you had to wonder how much that was going to affect EG's performance. Instead, they finish 5-1, and Digital Chaos drops to 4-2.
Yes, but there's nothing in my mind that tells me that EG will not be up to the task, especially after seeing this game with DC. They're looking on point. No